Lust is the most dangerous sin. When someone is consumed by lust, they become unrecognizable. Lust pushes people to chase after what feels good in the moment, even if it pulls them away from who they want to be. It turns choices into impulses, turns patience into restlessness, and it turns care into selfishness. Someone who was once steady can become distant, careless, or even cold, driven by a want that never truly ends. And as that want grows, it leaves less and less space for real connection. Lust promises satisfaction, but all it really does is strip away the parts of a person that felt whole, leaving them with a hunger that only gets stronger. There's a common misconception about the sin of lust. You see, most people think it's about romance, about the physical craving or desire for someone else. But lust is bigger than that. It's about the hunger for more control, more revenge, more validation, and of course, more love. It's anything that has to do with desire. And at its core, lust isn't just about wanting something. It's what happens when wanting turns into worship, when we stop chasing meaning and start chasing sensation. The high of being wanted, the need to be in control, to be respected, to be envied. All these things begin as a seed, but that same seed can blossom and take control of who you are if you let it. And the worst thing about lust is that it isn't always loud. In fact, most of the time, it's quiet. It's a whisper in the back of your mind that convinces you happiness is one more achievement, one more body, one more victory away. And by the time you realize how far you've gone to chase whatever you're chasing, lust has already taken something from you. Your peace, your humility, your sense of self. Many stories throughout anime explore the corruption of lust. How that hunger can twist desire into destruction. They show how easily love becomes possession, how ambition can become obsession, and how passion turns to ruin. And by the end of this video, I'll hope to have answered one question. If we do let lust control us, how far can we go before it consumes us? Lust rarely announces itself as evil. It begins as a purpose. For Light Yagami from Death Note, his purpose began as an idealist, a young man disgusted with a world steeped in corruption, longing to cleanse it with his own two hands. His intentions, at least in the beginning, are not entirely hollow. He wants to rid society of its rot, to bring order to chaos, to deliver justice where the system has failed. But somewhere along that path, his pursuit of justice ceases to be about the world and becomes about himself. What began as moral conviction mutates into carnal obsession. The line between righteousness and desire blurs until there is nothing left but lust. The lust for power, for godhood, for dominion, for light. His corruption through lust began the moment he writes his first name in the Death Note. He tells himself it's for justice, that the act is noble and necessary, even merciful. But with every stroke of the pen, something evil began to awake within him. A quiet ecstasy, a thrill that burrows into his consciousness and makes him feel alive in a way that he never has before. His sense of justice quickly becomes the mask that conceals his true addiction, the rush of playing God. At first, his targets are the monsters of the world, murderers, terrorists, rapists, the kinds of people that no one would mourn. The Death Note was his weapon for purification, and light was its righteous wielder. But righteousness, when driven by lust, always decays. It's never satisfied with balance. It demands excess. It demands more. Light's conscience shrinks quieter with every death. The names stop meaning anything. The deaths stop mattering. What matters is the feeling the fleeting euphoria of control, the illusion that he alone commands the fate of others. And gradually, the line between criminal and inconvenience begins to fade. Soon, it isn't murderers that he's killing, but those who dare to question him, petty thieves, and eventually, those who simply stand in the way of his image of perfection. The more Light kills, the more he needs to keep killing. His morality dissolves into self-worship. The Death Note ceases to be a tool for justice and becomes a mirror, reflecting his own lust back at him. He no longer wants a better world, he wants his world, a world sculpted in his likeness, where his ideals are law and his word is final. His sense of morality becomes secondary, only to his desire to become morality itself. And in that transformation, lust is the true morality. It's what's controlling Light all along. Light's lust for power is not rational ambition, it's a sickness. It's a hunger disguised as virtue, a craving that feeds on the illusion of control. Each time he uses the Death Note and kills another life, he's not exercising justice, he's feeding an addiction. An addiction where the Death Note becomes his drug. The thrill of playing God is his high, and the fear of losing it is his withdrawal. And what makes this transformation so tragic is that Light never sees it coming. He mistakes his own obsession for enlightenment. He believes that the world's fear of Kira equals reverence, that his terror is a form of worship. His lust twists his perception so completely that he can't even distinguish justice from tyranny. He doesn't see the horror that he's creating, only the joy that he imagines it inspires. But who is Light to play God? Who is he to decide whose life holds meaning and whose doesn't? Sure, he might have killed people who deserved it, but who defines that? Why does he get to determine which lives are redeemable and which are disposable? In Light's mind, the answer is simple. He does. He believes that his intellect, his morality, and his willpower make him the rightful arbiter of existence. Yet that very belief is the foundation of his downfall, because lust, no matter how noble its disguise, always demands worship, and Light can't tolerate a world that doesn't worship him. Even those closest to him become pawns in his delusion. Misa, Takeda, Mikami, each a devout follower sacrificed for his own image. He uses their devotion the way that he uses the Death Note, as a tool. Their love is not reciprocated, only consumed. Even his father, the one man who represents everything that Light once claimed to stand for, is expendable. Light manipulates him, deceives him, and in the end, destroys him, all in the name of the justice that he long abandoned. To Light, affection, loyalty, and faith are not human connections. They are instruments of control. Every relationship he forms is another reflection of his lust staring back at him. It's not that Light loses his empathy, it's that he lets lust devour it. In the beginning, he feels disgust at evilness, at murderers and terrorists, but eventually, he feels nothing at all. He kills without hesitation, without reflection, even when it serves no rational purpose. His lust for power doesn't just strip him of morality, it numbs his humanity. Empathy becomes a liability, something that might slow him down, and lust can't afford hesitation. Ryuk saw this from the beginning. His warning was simple. Once you kill all the bad people, you'll be the only bad person left. It's not just a comment on hypocrisy, it's a prophecy of Light's corruption. Lust has no endpoint, no moment of satisfaction. It devours its host until nothing remains but desire itself. If Light were to finally purge the world of everyone that he deems unworthy, then the only evil left to cleanse is Light. but by then, he would be too far gone to recognize it. The Death Note doesn't amplify his justice, but his lust. It doesn't give him purpose. It gives his desires a voice, one that whispers promises of eternity while dragging him towards ruin. Even his intellect, which once made him exceptional, becomes the instrument of his downfall. His genius can't protect him from corruption. It allows him to rationalize every atrocity, to turn every sin into calculation. The Death Note itself didn't plant lust into his heart. It simply gave it form. His God complex, his obsession with control, his disdain for imperfection, all of it was already there. It was just dormant and waiting for an opportunity to manifest. The Death Note was just the spark that ignited the fire. By the end, Light's world is empty. His followers are dead. His enemies vindicated. He stands surrounded not by worshippers but by ghosts. The ghosts of people that he used and discarded. His final moments are not those of a god, but of a man that was completely corrupted by lust. His tragedy is not that he sought to change the world, but that he mistook lust for purpose. In trying to become God, he lost everything that made him human. And when his reign finally ends, there was no divine punishment, no cosmic judgment, only the quiet realization that his godhood was never real. It was an illusion, born from the corruption of his own lust. Light Yagami doesn't die because he lost the game. He dies because the thing that he worshipped most, his own desire, was never meant to be worshipped at all. Lust is represented many times throughout fiction, but perhaps the purest embodiment of the cardinal sin is from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, in the form of the homunculus herself, Lust. Lust isn't just the embodiment of sexual lust, but more so the embodiment of a hateful bloodlust. She's what happens when desire becomes detached from empathy, when wanting something turns into needing control. Every word, every glance, and every movement she makes is deliberate. Her beauty is a mask. Her calmness is a performance. She doesn't seduce out of affection or longing, but because she knows how easily humans can be led by what they crave. Lust turns desire, something deeply human, into a weapon. Her beauty isn't a bridge between people, it's a blade. She uses allure not to connect, but to command. For her, attraction isn't intimacy, it's leverage. She understands how fragile people become when faced with their wants, and she exploits that fragility without hesitation. Through her, lust loses its human warmth. It becomes a cold form of control, the corruption of want itself. Desire, once meant to connect souls, now becomes the very thing that isolates and destroys them. In Lust's world, love and longing are illusions. She doesn't crave affection or companionship, she craves dominance. That's what makes her so terrifying. Lust represents desire stripped of emotion, of passion without heart. She wants endlessly, but not for fulfillment, only for the continuation of wanting itself. There's something empty about her hunger. It doesn't burn, it devours. It doesn't lead to joy, it erases the possibility of it. She's the hollow echo of a human longing. Unlike greed or wrath, lust doesn't rage or demand. Her corruption doesn't scream, it whispers. Every time she speaks, there's a softness that hides malice. Every touch feels gentle until it cuts. Lust represents how beauty, when corrupted, becomes something deadly. The same qualities that draw people in, her charm, elegance, and allure, are the very tools she uses to kill, and there's an irony in that. What should be life-affirming becomes life-ending. What should bring closeness instead creates distance. Her every act is a warning of what happens when desire is stripped of meaning, when the pursuit of beauty becomes the destruction of it. More than anything, lust thrives by exploiting human weakness. She doesn't need to force corruption, she only needs to offer it. People destroy themselves when she gives them what they already wanted. She tempts with knowledge, affection, or power, things that already burn within those she manipulates. She doesn't plant the seeds of corruption, she waters them. Her strengths lie not in her claws or her immortality, but in her understanding of people's hidden hungers. She turns their own desires against them, showing how easily passion turns into blindness. And that's what makes her the perfect embodiment of the sin lust. Every person who falls to her does so because they wanted something too deeply. She exposes how desire can warp judgment, how it can turn love into obsession, or ambition into addiction. The people she manipulates aren't weak because they want, they're weak because they let that want define them. As a homunculus, lust has no soul. She can't feel the emotions that she mimics, but she imitates them perfectly. She smiles with practiced warmth, speaks with controlled grace, and moves as though she understands what it means to care. But it's all an imitation, a hollow performance. That's what makes her existence so unsettling. She's the shape of human desire without its substance, the appearance of love without the heartbeat behind it. She's everything beautiful about humanity, drained of humanity itself. There's something poetic about how lust and her creator, Father, share the same flaw. Both seek perfection without ever understanding what it means to be human. Her lust isn't only physical, it's cosmic. She desires transcendence without comprehension, power without purpose. She wants endlessly, but she doesn't understand why. That's what makes her tragic. It's what makes all of the homunculi tragic. They embody the hunger to become more than what they are, without realizing that the act of wanting endlessly is the very thing that keeps them less. In that way, lust reflects a truth about human ambition itself. When the desire to reach higher loses its grounding in empathy or understanding, it becomes self-destructive. The more we crave without reflection, the less capable we are of being satisfied. Lust's existence shows how wanting too much can make fulfillment impossible, and her death captures this perfectly. When Roy Mustang burns lust alive, it isn't just a battle victory, it's symbolic. Fire, the element that purifies and transforms, consumes her entirely. The heat of Mustang's flames becomes the first and last real passion that she ever feels. It's ironic that in the end, lust, who spent her entire existence mimicking warmth and desire, is destroyed by true heat, by real emotion and real intensity. But even in her final moments, she couldn't grasp what it meant to feel true love, to ache, to connect. She dies as she lived, wanting without understanding, reaching without ever touching something real. Lust's story wasn't one of redemption or transformation, it's a story of what happens when desire forgets its purpose. In her, the sin of lust loses its humanity, and that's what makes her so terrifying. She is desire at its most hollow, beauty at its most deceptive, and corruption at its most quiet. In the end, lust's perfection was her curse. She was flawless in appearance, but empty inside. The most fitting embodiment of her sin, because she's everything that lust promises and nothing it fulfills.